Kevin Wilson and the Indiana Hoosiers won that old Oaken bucket last year, and that also meant a trip to a bowl game for Indiana, their first in 8 years. Kevin Wilson addressing the media today as part of Big Ten Media Days, and plenty of positive things to talk about when you discuss Indiana football, including some real returning talent, maybe the best guard in the country in Dan Feeney. They did lose their quarterback in Nate Sudfeld, Jordan Howard, who's headed to the NFL as well. So a lot of talent gone from Bloomington as well. But plenty of excitement surrounding the Hoosiers as they look to make it back-to-back bowl games for the first time since the Bill Mallory era. We're joined now by Kevin Wilson, the head coach of the Hoosiers. And Kevin, I know you well enough to know you are a very competitive guy. You're pleased to make a bowl game. It's a step in the right direction, but that you want this to be a program that plays in multiple bowl games in consecutive years, that plays in the absolute top-notch games. So what does it take to go from being a program that makes a game to being a consistent bowl winner?
Well, we've been competitive, but the consistency is the missing ingredient. So you got to be solid in all three phases in our bracket in the Big Ten East, and the crossovers, the 9-game schedule now we're playing. You got to have depth. Everybody's worried about our quarterback. We've had multiple years we played 2 and 3. So You need more than one. We need more last year. Jordan Howard's a quality back, gets injured. Divine Redding comes in, still has 1,000 yards. So we need depth at the line of scrimmage. Coach knows that's always a big part of our game, not just offense but defense. We've recruited more. We've got a lot of guys back. We've got key guys to replace. We're deeper, but it's going to be a challenge. But what we're looking for is consistency, because I think we've got enough players that if we can consistently bring it, we have a chance to not only play competitive but play winning Big Ten East football.
Coach, from the second you walked on campus, you knew exactly what you wanted to do offensively. I mean, you were full speed from the second that you got there. But obviously you're making another change on defense. So why has the defensive piece been more difficult than the offensive
Well, and
piece?
that's tough because as head coach, and you know, we're ultimately responsible for everything. You don't want to point fingers. My background with Randy Walker, as an offensive guy, you know, offensive coaches, you typically, in your staff, you have a line coach, a running back coach, a quarterback coach, a tight end coach, a receiver coach. And the defense has 4. And there's 5 on offense of those 9 magical coaches we have. Having been with Randy Walker for many 12 years, there was 6 guys in one room, 4 in the other. When I went to Oklahoma, there was 5 guys in each room because Bob Stoops had a defensive background. I felt in coming to Indiana, although I'm charged with everything, my strength was offense. Let me be one of the 5 offensive guys, and I put 5 on defense. Now, we've had great coaches and great guys, but we've not been able to capture the culture and the buy-in from the players and staff. And so it's been difficult to make some changes that I've made, but I felt as I looked at it, I needed something our kids could buy into and our staff would buy into. And again, bringing it's not X's and O's, Coach. To me, it's creating that culture. I know ultimately I'm in charge of all of it, but the way I divvied out the staff, there's a little bit of pressure on our defensive guy to truly be the leader of that side of the ball for me, and that's what we're looking for out of Tom Allen.
One of the things that you've really had a lot of success at since you've gotten there is developing the offensive line and getting those players really playing at a very high level. What do you attribute that to?
Well, one, that's my position, coached it, so it's a personal, pet peeve. It's something I've always got. I mean, it's hard for me not to watch the line. It's just something I love and enjoy and my passion. Greg Fry is a phenomenal offensive line coach. I think he's a much better line coach than I ever was, and my background was reasonable. James Patton, our tight end coach, coached offensive line about 15 years at Northwestern Oklahoma. We got a group of guys that understand the bodies it takes, how to develop those bodies, and the mindset and the chemistry and culture of an offensive line. And again, Greg does a great job, and I think that tight end group that James coaches is a great complementary piece to make that line complete.
One of the advantages we have is we get to see your improvement every spring when we come, every fall. Other people just evaluate you on Saturdays. I think I have a good feel for what you took over at Indiana. It's taken you 5 years to get to the bowl. Is this about how you thought it would unfold when you first got there?
No.
You thought it would be quicker?
As a coach, you want those seniors to win, those kids to win. And I didn't do a good job getting buy-in. Maybe the talent or depth wasn't good enough that we could overcome those things. I mean, I've wanted every team and every kid to be successful. And quite honestly, I actually think, Coach, that we're doing well, but I think we're actually still underachieving. I think we're a better football team than I'm not wanting everything to go perfect. But if we can continue to have the offensive chemistry, develop the competitiveness and bring defense along, I think we're a football team that can hover on the positive side of winning. I think we've been there a couple of years, and I think it's time we knock that door down and really knock it down instead of teetering like we've been. So I appreciate the patience of our administration, our AD, because a lot of places maybe wouldn't happen. And you know the thing that we took over, but there's a commitment now, and you've coached there. There's a different commitment, and I appreciate that. I respect that, and we're working hard to give our school the team that it deserves and the team that we need to be.
Whoever ultimately wins this starting quarterback battle is going to have the benefit of having outstanding run game. The wide receivers, tight ends are going to do a good job, the offensive line. But does that change the way you call a game when you have maybe an inexperienced quarterback under center?
Very much. As a matter of fact, some guys, say, a couple years ago we played a couple guys, and one of the reasons was sometimes it's nice to bring the guy over and calm him down and sit down a little bit and let him watch it from the side. So I'm not into two quarterbacks, not into one. Richard Lego had a very good spring coming in as a junior college transfer, but he just got there. Xander Diamant's our most experienced player, had a slight ankle procedure, cost him his spring practice. I felt those guys and our other quarterbacks needed summer and early in preseason. We'll play it out. But last couple, 3 years, we've needed more than one quarterback. So we need a starter, and we need a guy to play high-level football, but just like at running back, we need 2 or 3 in this league that can answer the call if called upon, because every year it's happened that way.
What are the strengths of Diamant and Lego? How would you term the strengths?
Xander's just got a spunk about him and a competitive spirit that's just high-end. He's faster than you think. He's not afraid of anything. And sometimes that scares me a little bit as a coach. I want to see you take care of that ball a little bit more and all that deal. But he's got a lot of energy, a lot of juice, a very dynamic guy, and a guy that I think our team rallies around. Richard has a skill set comparable to Nate. He's bigger, he's strong, he's 6'5", 6'6", he's 240. He's a strong-arm guy. But just getting in there, the confidence. The best thing is with 4 fifth-year seniors in the line, 2 fifth-year seniors at receiver, a quality running back coming back, not talking Sammy Cobbs and other good players. The quarterback doesn't have to lead us right now. He can worry about quarterback because he's got some great team leaders on that offense around him.
Well, we talked about offense, we talked defense. What about special teams? Because that's ultimately ends up being a big part of the game.
No doubt. We've got, I think, Griffin Oaks last year, the kicker there to conference, and maybe because we bogged down and should have scored a few more touchdowns instead of relying on our defense to get stops. But he was 24-29, set the school record with the 58-yard field goal. He is a big-time leg. We got a tremendous snapper, Dan Gottsel, one of the best we've been around. That was awesome. Mitchell Page, great returner. We have to answer the call at punter. We have Joseph Gideon, who's got a huge leg but unseasoned. And the punting game is probably more critical, I think, than maybe the kickoff game with the rules now. So it'll be interesting to see how Joseph and our punt game goes.
I want to focus on a couple of potential question mark areas. And the first one to me is the defensive line. How do you feel like that group came together in the spring, and who are some of the people we ought to be keeping an eye on there?
We know we lost several seniors, Nick Mangieri, Zach Shaw, Darius Rayner, and then Darius Latham came out for the draft early. So we lost 4 big, strong guys. And I actually think it's a position right now we might be 1 or 2 bodies shy of the numbers you need. I think going into early season, you need about 5 DNs and 5 D tackles. I think we're going to be a little bit more at 8 starting out with. And we got to develop someone else, or we got to be smart in managing, because wear and tear on the body come November, a lot of that practice volume and game volume in August and September can really lead up to November when you're getting thin with bodies. Jacob Robinson, one of the premier young players we got at D-line, I think is going to be outstanding. Ralph Green, Nate Hoff at nose, I think will be awesome. I'm really intrigued by Robert McCray, a big linebacker that we moved to DN. It's now 280 pounds, playing 3 technique. And we need to get something out of Niles Sykes and Greg Gooch on the edge. Those would be the 5, I think, upper-level guys that we get. Everyone on the back end's back, but I think our team will go as quarterback goes and as that defensive line goes.
You touched on this a little bit. I want to get back to it. You mentioned Devine Redding was a 1,000-yard rusher last year, despite the fact he had Jordan Howard, who's now in the NFL. And, again, it speaks to the injury issues, and it speaks to being able now to be at the point in your program where you've built some depth. So now Devine is the known commodity this year. Who else should we be thinking about behind him?
Well, Dylan McCullough's done a great job coaching that group. I think we had 20 years without a 1,000-yard back, and we had one going, and Tevin Coleman got hurt a couple years ago and missed the last 3 games, but popped for 2,000 in 2014. Jordan was setting up for about an 1,900-yard last year till his injury took him out. So that being said, Devine is our feature guy. Mike Majep played early, looked really good in our Rutgers game. He had a sports hernia, kind of had to shut him down at the end of the season's in the mix. Alex Rodriguez is a big 230-pound strong kid. We've got a couple of the freshmen, Cole Guest, Keontae Enos. We actually are moving a defensive player over to the offensive side. We got about 9 backs, and we're going to throw a lot of them out there. I'm intrigued by a young man named Camion Patrick who's coming off a knee injury. I think he's our best player. And
I know you raved about him last year.
We look forward. Hopefully we'll get him back. I think he'll be a quality skill. We're going to have some skill.
Might he play this year?
I think so. He's on schedule, and Barton, you can always have setbacks, but right now the target date is about the 1st of October when we crank up Big Ten play.
Well, we look forward to seeing you very early on in our tour. The first stop, in fact.
That means you guys will be in great mood. I'll see if I can set the tone and
Howard
get it going.
and I will be in a great mood. It's really tough to
We're always in a great mood.
Coach is always happy. He'll be done checking his restaurant out, one of the best in Bloomington. And he'll be ready.
There you go.
Thank you. You're welcome. Thank you.